Yo, how's it going, everyone? So I was just sort of I was making some lunch, noodles here, delicious, and a can of Lewis Hamilton sugar-free Monster. Oof, absolutely gorgeous. Um, and I came across this video by Gecko Squirrel. Is Tekken 8 good for new players? Now, when I was talking about Tekken 8 initially, and the developers Harada and everyone were kind of talking about Tekken 8, and I was listening to them, taking it all in, and I was sort of kind of repeating what they said. Tekken 8 is built for new people to try Tekken, because of the new sort of help system or guide or the assist mode where you can hold a button and it gives you a list of moves, air combos, power moves, things like that. But then obviously it's kind of like after you get past all that, how is there enough there in Tekken 8 to keep people staying? And it's kind of, and after the 2 weekends of CNTs we've had, it's hard to judge because how many people were new players to Tekken 8. So I saw this video come up on my feed on by Gecko Squirrel, and I thought, you know what, I just want to sit down, have some food, have a can of Monster, and see what Gecko Squirrel's got to say, and see what they think. So yeah, let's go for it.
Tekken is the biggest 3D fighting game franchise and one of the biggest fighting game franchises in the world. Tekken is so massive, in fact, that it is the premier fighting game on the little island I call home, aka England. Last year when I went to Versus Fighting 10, there were so many people that were there just for Tekken that the entire bottom floor of the venue was dedicated just for Tekken 7. And when it was time for Grand Finals, the area that easily fit the entire Guilty Gear Strive crowd was completely packed. And there was still so many people left that they had to open a second viewing area on the ground floor that still ended up filling up. Safe to say that people really like some good-ass Tekken,
Oh, yeah, they love some
me
Tekken.
included. I have
Oh,
over
yeah.
100
Hell yeah.
hours in Tekken 7, and anytime that Tekken is being played at a tournament, you bet that I'm watching. So if I have 100 hours in Tekken 7 and a great appreciation for the game, then why is the title of the video talking about new players? And why is this my first video on the franchise? Well, that's pretty simple.
Interesting.
I'm dog at Tekken. I've tried getting into Tekken 7 on and off for the past 5 years or so, and I've bounced off for several reasons.
I will say, like, in terms of kind of like, I don't think there's being really good at Tekken and there's being not so good at Tekken, but I don't think you can ever, like, call yourself dog. I think, like, if you understand fighting games or you're a big lover of fighting games, like, the only thing I can't really compare it to other fighting games, but I love playing League of Legends, but, like, I could say I'm really bad at League of Legends because, the elos they put you in the ranks, bronze, silver, gold, and all that sort of stuff. I'm in silver, and I've been silver for a long time. So I consider myself a bad player at League. Even though there are people that are stuck way below that, and they've been stuck there for a long time because they just can't get any higher. But I think with Tekken, it's kind of selective. You'll get to a certain point where the skills you acquire and what you do can only get you so far. Then you're going to have to start looking a bit deeper. About how deep do you want to look? How far do you want to go to get to that next level? So no one could ever be dog at Tekken, I don't think. I don't think you could ever be dog at any fighting game. It just depends how much time you want to put in.
Things like life getting in the way, having no one to play with, or just realizing that the netcoding UX is utter dog. There's only so many times you can be told to get ready for the next battle before you can legally be classed as insane. And because I didn't play the game that much, it's a lot harder for me to comment on things past a surface level. It's not like I hated Tekken 7. I would have put in 100 hours if I didn't, but I never really got to dig past the surface of the series. In fact, before this video, I haven't even touched the game in over a year. So imagine how surprised I was when I got an email from Bandai Namco asking if I wanted to participate in the closed network test for Tekken 8. It's pretty weird getting an email from a games company asking if you want to play their stuff, but I gladly accepted. One small problem: week 1 was on PlayStation 5, and at the time, I didn't own one. I was pretty bummed that I'd have to miss the beta so early, and I was telling my dad about it, and he decided to be an absolute fucking legend and just give me the money to pay for a PS5. I was supposed to borrow a capture card off of a good friend of mine as well, so that I could, get footage without it looking messed up. But then we messed up and couldn't get it to me in time. So my dad then gave me the money to pay for the capture card. It is now sitting in my PC.
What a
I can
beast.
record at 4K 60 FPS. What the fuck?
What a
this
legend.
entire video and review
Top
was
man.
made possible thanks to the generous donations from my dad. Everyone type thank you Gecko's dad in the comments right now because I can't thank him enough for this.
Thank you,
I
Gecko's
loved
dad.
you, Dad. That was insane.
Brilliant.
Anyway, with my new access to the beta and the ability to capture my footage in a way that doesn't make it look like a 2007 RuneScape tutorial, it was time to actually test the game out and see how good it is. So, let's talk about Tekken 8. Tekken 8 is obviously the 11th mainline Tekken game in the franchise, 10th if you don't count Dark Resurrection, which I obviously do because I'm not a coward. This may be the first Tekken game to release that is focusing more on the console version than it is the arcade version, as the previous entries generally had their arcade ports released earlier than the console counterpart. Tekken is a type of fighting game known as a 3D fighter. This means that characters are able to move around their opponent by sidestepping or sidewalking. This allows for unique whiff punish opportunities as you can dodge your opponent's attack by sidestepping at the correct time. With this higher emphasis on ground movement, air mobility is generally more limited. It's rare for characters to actually jump in Tekken as there's not much reason to. You might cause some low attacks to whiff, however, you don't go that high and you don't exactly have a lot of options while airborne. In fact, you can get the same result by doing moves while still on the ground at a much lower risk, so it might be worth using them instead. With this emphasis on grounded movement, you would imagine that the ground movement is really good and really easy to use, right? Well, not really. Tekken's movement isn't exactly rigid, but it's very stiff when you first use it. Backdashing has a set amount of distance it goes, and you can't move again until the end of the animation. Unless you crouch, which cancels the backdash, allows you to move again. So if you want to get the fastest backdashes and create distance, you need to learn how to Korean backdash, which is a backdash that is cancelled with a...
So, I mean, for somebody like he admittedly said hasn't touched it in a year, and he's talking about Tekken now, and I was talking about Korean backdashing already, that kind of says to me, like, Jesus, imagine getting a new player and saying, you know, come in and play Tekken, right, but here's how you backdash. Okay, it's not fast enough, here's how you Korean backdash. Already, this person's going to be like, do I have to learn that? Do I, you know what I mean? And I suppose that's a good point to bring up, and I'm assuming Gecko's going to go on further to explain, is Tekken 8 good for new players because of the movement changes in Tekken 8, you know, being like the Korean backdash not being as good on some characters or not being there, and a regular backdash is just fine. I mean, I was doing quite well with just regular backdashes in my playthroughs, or my playthroughs in my games. So yeah, I mean, do you really need to know Korean backdashing anymore?
Down back input that then goes into another backdash. And when you're starting out, it's not easy. In fact, after 2 days of playing the beta, I still can't get it consistently. Not to mention that the beta had basically 0 characters that I've actually played. The only characters that I've ever played are Elisa, Julia, and Miguel. And none of these characters are in the beta, so I'm left to figure out what to do on my own. Despite all the characters basically being the same they were since their debuts, I have no idea how to play any of them. Lily was probably the best shout, but I don't want to be known as the guy who picks the rich white woman in Tekken, so I decided to pick a Mishima. And what a better way to learn the Mishima archetype than by playing the one that's basically not a Mishima. Jin Kazama is a complicated character, but still very cool. He originally played like how the rest of the Mishimas played like. However, in Tekken 4, he unlearned the Mishima style and decided to take up traditional karate, making him one of the only characters to completely change his style between games. It's been 12 years since then, but I have no idea how this character plays, and for me, that's sick. I don't know exactly what it was about Tekken that captivated me so much.
And 7 to 8, like, he's so different now again. I mean, you get the basic stuff, but then it's adding the new heat system, it's then adding in all his new movement, his new moves, incorporating all that into strings and crushes and combo extensions. It's a lot to learn. It is a lot to learn. And again, it's another good question to bring up. Is Tekken 8 good for new players? You know, will they dedicate themselves to learning all of that? You know, is this the entry to bring people in, you know? You know, it's good. These are all good questions that are being sort of built up, you know, and I'm hoping, you know, Gecko gives us the answer.
Much by forcing me to relearn something as simple as moving my character around the screen, forced me to really appreciate how much I was learning and improving. I never did any crazy 10-hit juggle combos into wall slump resets. In fact, I don't think I ever did a real combo until the final hours of the beta. But being able to do a Korean backdash and sometimes being able to get a single wave dash out is an absolutely elating feeling even when I'm getting my ass kicked. Normally, I'm one of those people who look at the informational brick wall of fighting games and say with terror in my voice, there's so much to learn. But for the network test, my eyes were open. The opportunities, the ridiculous move lists, the unique stances. There's so much to learn! This is also helped by the fact that Tekken just makes everything look cool. You still have the slowdown effect from Tekken 7, which is very cool and always helps, but now the camera is even more dynamic, with it panning to different angles depending on the moves used, giving specific combos and setups a more cinematic feel. The sound design is as good as ever, with every hit sounding crushing and brutal. The music is also pretty good this time. Now, I'm somewhat of a fighting game music connoisseur, and by that I mean I like it a lot and listen to it a bunch. But I've been told that a lot of people got sick of Tekken 7's techno-inspired soundtrack, and would even tell me that the OST is bad. For those people, I say get fucked, because now it sounds like if Nier Automata took place in a rave.
Yeah, I mean, Tekken 7's music, like, for me it wasn't the most iconic soundtrack. But I thought Tekken 8's music was fantastic. So far, I really like every track. I was never annoyed by any of the tracks. But I have heard, though, a few people have heard, on the old, the X machine, that people just didn't like the music. Thought it sucked, and people started playing their own tracks in the background. Already, it's like, wow, damn, we're not even at the CNT yet, and we're already playing our own music. But I guess, each his own.
We must become as gods, Jin Kazama! I should probably talk about the graphics too. In fact, why would I? You have eyes. This shit's beautiful and well animated. I don't need to say anything else. Look at Kazuya's face. I rest my case.
Looks fucking beautiful.
I will say a very nice surprise is that Tekken actually had honest-to-God dynamic intros for several characters, which is something that's been shockingly lacking in fighting games as of recently. They're all really cool, but not every character has a dynamic intro. Luckily for me, Jin had like 5. In fact, I didn't even get to see all of them, but they're all pretty sick. It does lead to a weird situation though, where he has a fully animated dynamic intro with his dad, but he only has a unique line when he's fighting his mom. Still though, I'm glad a modern fighting game is keeping the trend of dramatic intros alive, especially with how sick they are. But what makes Tekken 8 special then? Well, the main defining feature of Tekken 8 is the heat system, which leads to a lot of awkward sounding phrases when discussing the characters. Heat is a mode in which all characters can activate. Once activated, they gain access to unique properties. Heat lasts for 10 seconds, however, the timer stops going down while the opponent is being hit or they're laying down. While in heat, you're able to refill some of your grey health by connecting attacks as well as gaining additional properties on some moves. For example, when Jin activates heat, any wind hook fists that he does will automatically turn into an electric wind hook fist, without the need for a just frame input. If you don't know, normally when trying to get an electric wind hook fist, you need to press down forward and right attack, known as 2 in Tekken notation, at the exact same time. This gives it a unique sound like this, as well as giving the attack different properties, generally more frame advantage and better combo potential. Since you need to press down forward and 2 at the exact time, it can be pretty awkward to land when you're just starting out. In fact, it's really awkward for me. I can't...
Awkward, nigh fucking impossible. I think, and don't think in any of my Tekken life, from playing Tekken 1 all the way through to Tekken 7 and everything in between, I don't think I've ever landed an electric wind god fist frame perfect ever. I admit I don't play like the Mishimas as much as I used to anymore, that I never stuck with them. But I just cannot land. I just can't do them. I've never been really good at that sort of stuff. It's never been my thing. And to expect somebody new to come in and who wants to get back into fighting games, they're never if there's a checklist of things they need to learn and that's on there and that, it'll put them off. Like completely, but like, I'm not going to learn this character because if I need to learn that move, is it good for me? And that's another good question that brings up, a new player. Is it good for me to be this character because I need to learn these things and I need to do these movement things, and it's daunting for some people, and that's why games. I think that's where not the argument, but I think that's where the discussion comes in of, how dumbed down do you have to make Tekken in Tekken 8? To get new players through the door so that they feel like they're on par and they're just clicking with it quickly and they're hitting these big moves. I faced plenty of people in the CNT who were using the assisted buttons, but I never wailed on them. I let them have a little bit of I let them have a go. I didn't go in on them and like start just destroying them and having like, and I sort of I'd hold forward and let them do a few combos on me and let them get off some attacks, do some rage arts. I didn't care. Like, they're probably a brand new player who got a code and wanted to have a go. I gave them the opportunity to sort of express a little bit, and I fought back and stuff. So, and I think that's what you need to do with new players. You need to sort of let them, play against somebody who's humble and has knowledge and can just tell them you don't need to know those things. You can still play the game without those things. But look, we've got all these new tools for you. So I think that's important, to kind of get that out of that. You've got to get that mindset that you need to know all these things to play a character or play Tekken. You know what I mean?
Can't land them at all. So allowing players to be able to get electrics can help with the learning process, even if it is a little bit cheap. There's more. While in here,
I wouldn't call it cheap. I wouldn't call it cheap. I think again, I'm not going to go on about it, but I think understanding the process involved in it, and me being a veteran Tekken player for years, like, and even me having trouble with it, some people can get it, some people can't get it. If somebody says, "Oh, it's really easy," then they're lying to you because it's bollocks. It's not that easy. It is a very, you take skin off your fingers. I used to play Shinden, and that had like inputs like that, and I had blisters. This stuff is tough. So I wouldn't call it cheap. Definitely not. I would definitely say it's more accessible. I would say it's more accessible.
you gain access to Heat Smash and Heat Dash. Heat Smash is a massive combo ender which deals a bunch of damage in exchange for ending your heat once it's used. Heat Dash allows you to dash cancel certain moves in exchange for ending your heat. The dash can be used for combos, but it also allows you to be able to gain a bunch of frame advantage, kind of working like a Roman cancel in Guilty Gear or a drive rush in Street Fighter 6. These two techniques can be used to extend your lead and get a bunch of damage on your opponent. But how do you get into heat? Well, there's two ways. There's a Heat Burst and Heat Engages. Heat Burst is a move that all characters have. It is a massive slam that you're able to use that automatically puts you into heat mode. It's plus on block, I think, so it allows you to begin your offense and start getting your gray health back. The other way is Heat Engager. Heat Engagers are specific moves your characters have that will allow them to enter heat mode once they connect with an opponent. Every character has a bunch of different Heat Engagers, so it's important to know which ones you have so you can follow them up with a bunch of damage and pressure. The heat system is pretty in-depth by Tekken standards. At face value, it looks like a combat mechanic, giving you your health back when connecting attacks with the opponent, even giving you more chip damage to work with. However...
More chip damage, yeah. Fucking hell. I mean, it... Again, it's the CNT, so I'm not going to go hard on it, but yeah, there is definitely kinks in the heat system, and it needs to be worked out. But yeah, I think like based off like if someone said to me like, "Oh, what's Tekken 8 like?" I say it's an amazing game, but it definitely needs some more work. It's not ready. It's nowhere near ready.
I think it falls into the same type of combat mechanic that something like Dragon Ball Spark falls into. Yeah, it can be used to make a comeback with the utility that it provides, and the ways that you gain health and stuff like that, but wouldn't it make more sense to just use it in a more get massive fucking damage on your opponent way? Like, you could theoretically wait until you're low, pop heat, get some health back, and keep going, or you could get a fat whiff punish, go into heat, and do a sick nasty combo for half of their health. Like, I'm just saying. Before we answer the question in the title though, it would be utterly foolish for me not to mention how the online worked. Now, I have a terrible secret to tell all of you. I played the entirety of the network test on Wi-Fi. I know, I should be burned at the stake for my crimes. However, there was multiple reasons for this. The first is that I wanted to test the network on the worst possible conditions I could muster. I'm gonna be real with you. My Wi-Fi is fucking balling, but I am as far away from the router as humanly possible, meaning Wi-Fi reception in my room is spotty at best. So if the netcode could function properly under terrible circumstances, then it must be good netcode, right? The second is that when I plugged my new Elgato 4K 60S Mark II into my computer, it somehow broke the wireless internet adapter for my desktop. So if I wanted to stream my gameplay to Twitch, twitch.tv/scroll live, by the way, and still have a functioning computer, I needed to have one massive Ethernet cable I had plugged into it at all times. I only have one massive Ethernet cable. But yeah, no, it was definitely to test the netcode. So how was the netcode then? Well, considering that I was 2 floors above the router, it wasn't actually that bad. It was pretty stable. Now, granted, this is just my experience. I've heard that Wi-Fi connections can be especially bad under the right circumstances, and I didn't get as many matches as I would have liked to have in order to test it out. Partially because I've been very busy lately, but also because a lot of people would see that I was on Wi-Fi and dodge me. And to those guys, I have only one thing to say to you. Good job, fellas. You passed the test. Keep up the good work. Speaking of playing the game online, oh my fucking god, they did it! They fixed it! I don't have to constantly get ready for the next battle!
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that one. Fuck, just the whole just that whole just waiting for so long. It was so long, to get into matches, and it was agonizing, and it's so nice just pressing a button and within like less than 3 seconds you're back in the game, and your energy's still going. You're still pumping and you're ready to go for the next one. It's so good, and I just think, round of applause to get. This is the difference though, innit? You go from like an arcade release to a console release, and you build for consoles and not build for the arcade, and it's Tekken has taken a long time to get there, but it's finally. Yeah, this is the new era for Tekken, I think, and all these features that we've been hoping for, and might have been lacking behind other fighting games. And everyone loves Tekken, and they just wanted to do so well. I love Tekken, but I wish it would this. I love Tekken, but I wish it would that. And it's like, this is the things that we want.
It's so much faster getting into battles and
Amazing.
Rematching. Not as fast as Street Fighter 6, but it's way better than it was in 7. Oh my god. I don't have to get ready for the next battle after every match.
Night and day.
I'm free! But that still leaves one big question. Is Tekken 8 good for new players? Well, that's not an easy question to answer. The network test didn't provide any of the learning tools that the final game will hopefully have. They had a combo trial, but that was about it. With things like frame data not even being available for players to look at. Tekken is a hard...
Again, I'd say frame data and that, a new player, if we're talking about experience, if we're talking about people who are experienced in fighting games and they're new to Tekken, then I wouldn't worry so much about frame data. You can kind of guesstimate what's good, what's not, and you can kind of use your past and your knowledge from other games. If you're talking about a brand new player who's never played Tekken, has played other fighting games, said, right, okay, I want to play Tekken because Tekken 8 looks fucking incredible. Is it good? Is it good? Is it good to play? And I guess before Gecko gives his answer, if you've played fighting games before and you never played Tekken, I think it'd be okay. I think it'd be absolutely fine. You'll get used to the systems, you'll get used to the movement, you'll acquire it, and if it's for you, you'll love it. If not, you'll go back to what you play. If you've never played any fighting games before and you're not sure which one to pick up, and you decide, okay, Tekken 8 is looking quality, this is looking really good, this is what I like. It's a steep learning curve. It's learning curve, and then it's like you're on par with everyone who's learning with you, and this is where you'll either stay here, where you'll just stay here, you've learned everything you're going to learn, and you're happy just playing the game, and you're playing players at your level, or you're going to take that learning to the next level, and you start going up and up and up, and you've got to learn more, which includes backdashing and electric wing godfists. Frames, parries, low parrying, sidestep maneuver, which moves are steppable, which aren't, good extensions, carries, the heat system now we've got to learn. It's definitely a two-pronged question, and I think it's a two-pronged answer. So that's my opinion anyway. I think that's my personal opinion. So yeah, is Tekken 8 good for new players? Brand new fighting game players that have never played a fighting game before, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. Honestly, I'm going to say no. I say get yourself, play some other game, play some other fighting games that maybe you've got maybe go back to a previous Tekken and just maybe learn that, or maybe just play another fighting game, just kind of get yourself into the groove of fighting games and how it all works, and maybe try Tekken 8, but is it good for your, if you're like, this is the game I want to play 100%, I'm never going to play Mortal Kombat 1, I'm never going to play Street Fighter 6, then yeah, okay. But if you're like, I like Street Fighter, but I want to play Tekken, but I really like Street Fighter, I'd say play Street Fighter then, and watch Tekken, and if you're really enjoying Street Fighter, be like, okay, it's time for something new. You can pick up Tekken later on and learn it that way when everything's more solidified. So I sound really bad when I say like, I don't know, like don't start if you don't play Tekken for a new fighting game, play something else. But it's hard, isn't it? It's just so hard because I wouldn't want people to come play it, get absolutely smashed in by legacy players, and then be like, I ain't playing this shit, and they go off and play MK1 or Street Fighter 6. Shorter move list and and just it's so tough. It's so tough to answer. Oh man, I don't envy Gecko making this video.
Game to break into. Most of the systems and characters haven't been changed between releases, and the biggest mix-up we had was in Tekken 4 back in 2001. So there's a lot to take in. However, it's pretty similar to learning any other fighting game in 2023. And thanks to most of the things in the game being legacy moves and movements still not changing that much, you can get pretty far working off of old information. Hell, I would even say that if you wanted to get ready for Tekken 8, playing Tekken 7 would prepare you, since the movement feels extremely similar,
I agree.
and characters are basically the same moves minus a few additions in the heat mechanics. However, as far as I can tell, Tekken isn't adding any new improvements to make the learning process of the game any easier for new players. There's nothing planned like World Tour mode to teach you how to do movement tech and special inputs, and there's no modern control settings that allow for simple inputs. There is an assist mode like there was in Tekken 7, however, unlike modern controls, I don't think that the one auto combo it gives you and access to your rage and heat moves on one button, both of which are just single direction and button combinations anyway, and can be bound to their own button, will give you a way to get to the thinking side of Tekken quickly enough.
I agree with that. I think like it's a good mechanic for people who just want to play with their mates and kind of and I want to see how you can use it in battle. But like when Tekken's like a think tank, you just kind of you build and craft combos and then you put it all together, flash and substance. And yeah, I agree with that. I think like, but again, this is just the CNT. There's nothing in the CNT to help players, so I can't agree with the comment of like there's nothing because we haven't got the game. But for, people, I'm assuming people who got the code to play the CNT, a lot of them were Tekken 7 players. I'm going to assume that. That's my assumption, But, yeah, I mean, the full release will give us the answers we require.
That doesn't mean I don't have hope, though. Tekken has done single-player modes in the past that could be redefined to help new players out. Maybe give us a Tekken Force mode, but, teach us Korean backdashing at some point. Or teach us how to wave dash or something. Yeah, it could be fun. In the closed network test, Tekken 8 was no better for new players than Tekken 7 was. Though if they added a tutorial at all, it would immediately be better than Tekken 7, because Tekken 7 doesn't do shit for newbies. However, Tekken 8 presents an opportunity for newbies and 2D veterans alike. It presents a way for you to rediscover the joy of learning fighting games from the ground up. The possibility to see yourself grow and improve with every session and find new tactics that you thought were impossible before. With better UX and better netcode, Tekken 8 is posed to outshine 7 in every way.
Oh, it already does for me.
Newbies and old heads alike.
Already does
All
for me.
they have to do now is make sure they don't fuck it up. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If everything works out, I should be streaming right now on Twitch. Make sure to subscribe for more funny content. Subscribe to the Patreon to get your name read out like these beautiful people right here. 64 megahertz, almost nap time.
Awesome.
Ben from
Awesome
Canada,
video.
Cervantes de
Thank you
Leon,
so much, Gecko. I
Daniel
appreciate that. It was a great video.
Dragon Prox, Games.png, I am Naoto, Jackal Reeves, MP04, Nhoa, Ray W, Super, Forcon, Tom Tanks, Voltaic Charge, and Zandatsu.
Great stuff. Great video. So that was Gecko Squirrel is Tekken 8 good for new players. Yeah, great video. So give that a like. Pop a subscribe as well. Looking forward to seeing some more. I want to follow Gecko's journey now on Tekken 8 and see what happens. But yeah, no, great video, and I hope Gecko doesn't mind me reacting to that and giving my thoughts on it. But yeah, thank you for making that video. It's a good question. It's a really good question. But yeah, make sure you give Gecko a subscribe and give the video a like, and also I'll have all the information in the description box below. Please make sure you like this video, give it a like, give it a subscribe. Yeah, it'd be awesome if you could do that. And I look forward to seeing you on kick.com/boymanbeard, where I'll be playing more Tekken when it's released. Also MK1 coming on the 18th of the beta. Very excited about that. So yeah, very excited. And thanks again for watching. Appreciate it. Take care.